4-4, game of the season so far, Monday night. I must admit, I know you two were otherwise engaged, but I was fortunate enough to be at this football match. I thought it was absolutely terrific. It was so entertaining. Listen, some of the defending was poor, but the goal scoring was excellent. Manchester United played the best football I have seen them play since I can really remember. I can't remember the last time they played that good going forward. It was delight, and I knew it was a delight by using your eye test, but it was enhanced by the fact that at half time, the whole crowd just sort of roared and cheered and embraced it because it was like, "Oh, where the hell has this been?" It was great. The fact that they've got to go to the toughest place to go to in the Premier League doesn't make things easy on Ruben Amorim, Alex Crook.
No, particularly when you factor in the absentees. Got to say, Brian and Bumo, for all the positivity going forward, his form has tailed off a little bit. I think Ahmad is a much bigger miss because he's so central to how Amorim wants to play, and I thought he was great roaming forward down that right-hand side on Monday night. It'll be interesting to see if there is a change in system as a result of not having him available, because there's not really another wing-back, not that he is a wing-back by trade, who can do all the things that Ahmad does. I think Cunha is going to be vital during Mbumo's absence. He was excellent the other night and thoroughly deserved his goal. Probably should have scored the first one, actually, that Ahmad ended up heading in from about half a yard out. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult. But this is a ground where United tend to do quite well, even when you don't expect them to. And I've got a lot of happy memories from trips to Villa Park, not just in the Premier League, but FA Cup semi-finals as well. Law of averages. Villa can't keep winning. I thought they dropped points at West Ham last weekend. I've got this ridiculous idea United are going to go there and win 1-0. There you go. I'm just going to chuck it out there.
Yeah, interesting that they can't win forever, can they? Aston Villa, and they have been, and they've only lost once, I think, in about a season and a half at home. So it
They've ridden
doesn't.
their luck a couple of times, though. They weren't convincing against Wolves at home. Needed a goal from outside the penalty area, twice behind at West Ham. They're not blowing teams away. Even the game I did in Basel in the Europa League, they made a little bit of heavy weather of that, and that's why I think eventually this run is going to come to an end. That's why I don't think they are title contenders.
I did tell you this a couple of weeks ago when they played Young Boys. I was watching them. I was like, I'm not entirely sure. I thought when they went to Brighton, they wouldn't win there because they're just not in the right rhythm. But actually, I think some of that is by design. They don't expend a lot of energy, and the other part of it is I do think these long shots are part of the game plan. There is something in there that they're working on that gets them over the line. Look, he's a very good manager and he knows what he's doing. Amorim afterwards said that this is the way that the fans want Manchester United to play. I think he's right.
Yeah, so do I. Absolutely. Scott, I'll let
He
you
got a
take
bit
it
of
over.
criticism, though, Scott. I mean, some people have raised their eyebrow, but I think he's right. I think that is true. And being in the stadium, everybody had a great time. Okay, there was disappointment they didn't see it out, whatever. But everyone had a great time. They walked out happy. I've been there when they played under Eric Ten Hag. I've been there towards the end of the Solskjaer era. I've been there when Moyes was in charge. They weren't having a great time. They're having a much better time now.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, it's been a bit better this season, but it's been very, very inconsistent still. But I'll let Crookie take over, really, of what a Manchester United fan feels. I think you've just said it there very well, Sam. What you felt in Old Trafford, that is Old Trafford's how it used to be, apart from the defence. So he's obviously got to sort that out. But just the attacking, free-flowing football, the team that I played against, Beckham, Keane, Scholes, Giggs, Sheringham, Cole, Solskjaer, York. It's just incredible to play against. And it was impossible pretty much at times to play against. And they're getting there. Again, like we spoke about Spurs, this is a United side that, again, is turning around the Titanic. And I personally think Villa will win this and will win this reasonably comfortable, because I think at home, I think Manchester United are that still inconsistent side, and Villa at home especially are very, very strong, and I think they will find a way to win. But if United can find a way to win this one, then that would be a massive statement win when people are saying that Villa are in the title race. I'm like Crookie. I think with 6 games to go, they won't be in it. That's nothing against them. As they finish top 4, it's a wonderful season. But if United go to Aston Villa in the form they're in and get a victory, whether it's 1-0 or 2-1 or 4-3, then that would be a massive psychological boost for United and the fans for sure.
I will come to Crookie in just a second because he's got a lot to say, but he's got other things to answer about Manchester United. So I'm not going to let him go in on the atmosphere thing. I know that's how he wants them to play. On Villa, they're on a red hot run. They are on a unbelievable run of form, which has seen them win 9 in a row. It's the best in Europe right now. It could be 10 in a row for Emery at Villa Park, and only one other Villa manager has achieved that, George Ramsey in the early 1900s. But we've been talking about these long-range efforts for a long time and saying that, you know, they're getting them out of trouble. The XG on that is a complete outlier. They've got 8 more goals than their XG suggests they should have. And that, I think, tells you what we've been talking about over the last few weeks. I said it after the young boys game. Crook has reiterated it after he did the Basel game. This is not a team that create a bundle full of really good chances. What they do is they get themselves into good positions in matches where sometimes they get themselves into bad positions in matches and get back in it somehow, which is what they did against Brighton, which was what they did against West Ham United. But they have these superstar talents that can come up with these great moments of individual ability. Morgan Rogers, Emi Buendia, players that Tielemans who can score from distance. Even Boubacar Kamara scored an absolute cracker against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And a lot of those goals have come from outside the box. Now, some of that is to do with as teams get tired, they force them back. There's space created on the edge of the area, so they get the opportunity to get those shots away. That's a little bit by design. But at some point that will turn and they won't be able to keep doing that. And that is the thing. What we're all suggesting will end up being the time when they either have to get more out of Watkins and create more chances for him, or they will end up dropping down the table and not necessarily being the title challenger, which Unai Emery hopes that they can be. Back to Manchester United. Couple of things to do before we go. Housekeeping, Crook. Kobbie Mainoo, the T-shirt, the brother. Bruno Fernandes, the interview. The headline, the not being very helpful. Discuss.
Yeah, I'll start with Kobbie, and we had a good debate about this on our Inside Devils YouTube show, questioning how much he knew about the publicity stunt from his half-brother. I think the argument was probably shot down that he wasn't in on it when our own Andy Goldstein did his drive show wearing a free Kobbie Mainoo T-shirt, and Kobbie's personal Instagram account actually liked to post with that jumper in it. Now, we don't know if he does his own social media, but you'd imagine that, like our own Mr. Minto, whoever is doing his social media, Kobbie gets final say. So clearly he wants out. He's wanted out since the summer. He feels that Ruben Amorim doesn't have a lot of faith in him. I'll push back on what Adrian Durham was saying, having out United fans for applauding Kobbie when he came on the other night, because we're all frustrated. You know, this is a lad who's come through the academy, he scored the winning goal in an FA Cup final against Manchester City. He's played a key role in his country getting to a European Championship final. And I think the way he's been treated by Ruben Amorim is a betrayal of United's DNA, because the club is built on those young players. Now, obviously, there's got to be a little bit of individual responsibility, and you can argue, has Kobbie been at his best when he has come on? But if you know the manager doesn't fancy you, it's pretty hard to keep your chin up and not let it affect your confidence if you are quite a quiet lad, as he seems to be. So I think he'll probably go out on loan. I think he'll probably end up at Napoli, joining the likes of Scott McTominay. But I think his interest in the United hierarchy, I reported this earlier in the week, have made it clear they don't want to sell him because they still believe he does have a future at the football club, which maybe, again, brings Amorim's long-term stability into question. In terms of Bruno Fernandes, everything he said in the interview is factually correct. Amorim wanted him to stay. The owners and the board and Sir Jim Ratcliffe were willing to cash in if he expressed a desire to leave. I think he would have gone had his wife not intervened at the last minute and told him there was still work to be done at United. But it does feel like this could be his last season. He's got that release clause in the summer, £57 million for an overseas club. And I wonder if this is him sort of paving the way for his departure. And I wouldn't begrudge him, because he's been the best signing since Fergie left the club. His goals, his assists have been absolutely crucial. You can talk about, is he a good captain or not? I think in some ways he is, in some ways he isn't.
He's a brilliant player.
But what he hasn't done is been able to add the silverware that his talent deserves. So if he gets the chance to go and play for Bayern Munich and win the Bundesliga and challenge for the Champions League, good luck to him. I hope he doesn't end up in Saudi. I hope he stays, because I agree with you. I think actually the hate he gets, not just from rival fans, but from a lot of United supporters,
Ludicrous.
is a bit perplexing, because he's so good. If he played in a Fergie team, he would be talked about in the same way that Beckham and Scholes and Keane are, because he's that good.
He is that good, and he risks the ball. That's the thing about him. People groan because he gives the ball away more often than other people, but he risks the ball. He puts it. He gambles because he's a forward-thinking player. He wants to make things happen. He tries to make that free kick the other night. Fantastic. The captain comes up with a moment like that when you really need it. That's what he's all about. That's what he's done. He never, ever, ever gets injured. He never misses a game, ever, and he wants to play. And he wants to be at Manchester United. So embrace that. I think he's terrific. And I think there's a little bit of not understanding his demeanour. That demeanour comes from frustration of wanting to succeed. He's Portuguese. He's got a certain different expression. Look at Jose Mourinho and the way he conducts himself. He's not always a happy, fun guy. He looks sometimes like he's miserable when he's not, because that's just like a little bit of the cultural demeanour. You've got to deal with it. Look at Scott. Sometimes really miserable. He spent too much time in Portugal. Scott,
Never with
okay?
you, my friend. Never with you.
Yeah, never with me.